Okay, everyone, once you decide who your hero is going to be for this project, we're going to start to edit our images, find them online, edit them, and save them to our drive. So at your table, you'll need this worksheet right here that says Pop Art Photo Editing using Sumo Paint. That's the photo editing program that we'll be using. And you'll need a Chromebook. So you'll first have to log into your Chromebook and then start with step number 1. Step 1 is going to ask you to go to Google and find a picture of your hero, save that to your drive, and open it into Sumo Paint. So one thing to make sure of when you are finding your hero picture is that once I've clicked on the picture that I like, I need to make sure that I don't just save this tiny picture from Google that I've clicked on, this tiny picture right here. I can't just save this tiny image. I want the biggest, most pixels and most resolution that I can. So I'm going to click on View Image to make sure I have the largest picture possible. So then I'll save this picture and save it to my drive. Now, once you have that picture saved in your drive, the worksheet will go through with you how to open it in Sumo Paint. So now I've opened my image in Sumo Paint. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to actually crop this picture. It's a little bit too big right now because there's so much background information. So I'm going to take this little square right here that says Crop Tool, and I'll go around my image so that I just have the portrait part. I don't want too much background. So I actually don't even want that red part right there. I just want my portrait, as much of the person as possible. So once I have cropped everything, I'll go to Filters, Stylized, and this one right here is called Dithered Poster. So kind of like Shepard Fairey, we're really creating a poster style picture of our portrait. So this box will come up, and this will be where you can edit the colors and the size shape of your portrait. So what I would start with first is the colors. This drop-down menu right here will allow you to pick preset colors. So I can pick this one right here, which will change it to brighter colors, yellow, pink, blue, black, white. This RGB one changes it to blue, green, red, black, white. So you can use these preset ones to find one that you like, or you can actually just change the colors yourself. So what I would suggest is sticking to a scale or a value of colors. So I think it looks best when you start with color number 1, and this is actually a light value. So a light value means a yellow or a white, a bright color. So then I'll go down from there. I'll pick 3 colors in the middle that are kind of medium values. Reds, blues, greens are good choices. So I think I'm going to keep that one blue. Maybe I'll change this one to green. So it's really just about playing around with the colors and messing around with the styles. Now color number 5, I think it looks best if color number 5 is actually a really dark value. So going from light to dark. So I'm actually going to pick black for that because that's the darkest value. So I'm just going to go all the way here and click black and click OK. So I actually like when color number 5 is a dark value, we can actually see the shapes of the face a little more clearly and all the shadows. So it's really just about experimenting with your color values. When I change one color, it really will change the entire portrait and how the portrait looks. So when I change this middle value color, it'll change the shapes. When I change the green color, it'll change the shapes again. So it's just about getting a color scheme that you like. Okay, so but again, try and stick with color number 1 and 2 are lighter values. That's where the light is really hitting the face in the highlight areas, and the color 4 and 5 are darker, and 3 is kind of in the middle. Okay, so stick to that color scheme. So after you've picked your colors, then it's time to go to these menus over here. These will change the size of the shapes of the face and how smooth they are or how rough they are. So one thing I want you to start with is this bar that says smoothing. Pick smoothing around 5 to 7. That's a good bet. Now if you bring smoothing up too high, your portrait gets a little too abstract. We can't quite tell what it is anymore. If your smoothing is too low, it's a little too rough and sketchy. It's going to be hard to draw these in the end with too many little shapes. So I would stick to something about 5. And this is in your worksheet, so you should be able to reference this scale. So stick to 5 for your smoothing. Scale is something that I would actually change to be a little bit higher because the larger your scale is, the less shapes you actually have in your portrait. So see when scale's like way down below here at 12, tiny little dots, we want something that has larger shapes so that this is easier to draw in the end. So keep your scale a little bit higher or towards the middle. The rest of the bars, just play around with and see what you like. These will change the size of the shapes and the positioning of the shapes. So center Y and center X will change the position of where the shapes are on the face. So it's just up to you what looks good to you. Rotation will change, again, the positioning of the shapes on the face. Strength is something that will change your values. So see how when I get all the way to the bar over here, it changes the dark values, really large shapes of dark values. When I get all the way to the beginning, a low number, it'll change the light values. So there will be more highlights and bright spots in the face. So again, I think it's kind of good to stick to the lower middle end for this bar as well. Okay. Lastly, these couple of spaces right here, lines, waves, radial, raster, this is just the type of shape that is on the face. So lines means that the shapes are vertical up and down lines, and then waves will change the shape. Radial will also change the shape. So this is just the type of shape. So raster kind of actually means these little dots from the beginning. So once you move the scale up, you shouldn't really be able to tell the difference between these. So these aren't as important. Okay, so the most important thing to remember when you think you finish editing is, does it look like your person in the end? It is a little bit abstract. It's pop art style. There's lots of bright shapes of color, and it's a simplistic shapes of the face. But please make sure that it's not so abstract that we can't tell who it is in the end. It's very important that we know who your hero really is in the end, okay? So once I like it, I'm going to click OK. I'll go back to my worksheet, and the worksheet will show you how to save your image to your drive and then share it with me so I can print it later for you in class, okay? All right, so that's all you have to do for your photo editing. Follow your worksheets.